Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Doing something. Got the earbud in. Maybe that's not good. But this is what I'm doing right now, and it makes me think of things. These two calves were born about 3 weeks ago. And I'm just out feeding them right now. Their mom only nursed them like once or twice, maybe. And then we took them. And we have this little cage here, or pen, you know, with a roof on it and all this. I made it out of an old trampoline that wasn't being used. That's actually I got from Joe Gianosa. So it lives on, Joe. It lives on. My kids played on it forever. And then finally there was holes in it and they got bigger and bigger and we finally had to change it out. But anyway, I'm feeding these calves. We got everything going on right now. Jim's milking. I just finished feeding and everything clicks in the morning. We get things going pretty quick. And it's a beautiful, beautiful day. But what's going on here is I just started them on a bucket yesterday. So we have these buckets. These are calf buckets, I guess. And I have a line drawn on it so we know how the level to put the milk. And at first, they don't know what to do. You know, they see a bucket and they're not used to it because we start them on a bottle that's got a big nipple on it, big red nipple, and even that takes a while to get them used to it. But they get used to that, and then we want to make the process go faster because they're 3 going on 4 weeks, so they'll be eating hay soon, and they get milk for 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, and we usually just cut it off at 8 because we have plenty of lush grass. And as I was doing this morning, I was thinking, well, this is just the thing that you do every day in this lifestyle. You know, you have to take care of the animals, and then usually it's Sunday today, so we probably won't, but usually then we work on things the rest of the day. And I'm working on the milk house right now. And true to form, when the milk house is done, it's going to make the milking process that much more clean and streamlined and efficient. Not that it wasn't clean before, but we were having to take the milk across the driveway in buckets to the old butcher shop, which had a kitchen in the front end, and now it's just a kitchen. And then the back end of the old butcher shop is the store / cafe, I'll say, because that's where we have some tables and stuff, and you can sit in there and, you know, discuss life, you know. So it's a good place, the cafe, we call it the cafe now. And taking milk across the driveway in buckets, 5 gallons at a time, you know, it's heavy, and it takes time. It's a lot of steps. You don't think about it, but if we could only take it 2 steps into the milk house, oh, that'd be a lot better. So that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm pretty darn excited about it. Every time I get a chance, I go and do something, and then I have to go. I get interrupted quite a bit. But as I was doing this today, I was thinking about something, because we hear all the time from people, certain people, that are preppers. Like, they're preppers. And they're, seems like they're, and I can see it. I don't know, I was in that mindset for a while too. Like, that society is going through some changes right about now, and it looks like, you know, there could be an interruption in the supply chain, or, you know, something else. I mean, there's always like a threat looming, you know, bird flu, something else. You know, there's always things. Ooh, I got a slow connection. Let me move. So there's always those things. And sometimes they kind of motivate me because I want to make sure that I have things ready. But I always come back to the Boy Scout motto, and that is be prepared. And in this lifestyle, it fits in really good with that mindset because yesterday was cold, actually cold. I had to put a pair of pants on, you know, not working in shorts. And today, you know, I had to put a shirt on and I got shorts on. So what that does is it reminds me that winter's coming. It does every year. Comes every year. And with winter comes the end of the green grass. A lot of things come with that. Severe weather, a lot of snow, hard to move around here. We got to do other things that we don't do in the summertime. We don't mow the lawn in the wintertime, but in the summertime, we don't plow snow either. We don't move snow around. We don't shovel roofs. We don't do that. And the animals in the summertime are dealing with heat, where in the wintertime, they're dealing with cold. And in my experience, the cold is actually less tough on them than the severe heat, you know. With us working here, we put in a pool like 5 years ago, and it's probably the smartest thing I ever did because you just get to the point where you're so hot you can't move anymore. And then you go up there and jump in the pool and you're ready to go again, you know, second shift, I always call it. So anyway, with prepping, I hope the wind isn't wrecking this. Okay, I'll get on this side of the baler. With prepping, we're always preparing for the next season. And along with that goes the notion that, you know, we have to still maintain too. Like, we have to still be fed. We have to still be warm. We have to be sleeping in a semi-comfortable environment so we can get up and do it again and do it again. And I've been noticing lately that there's an increase that comes, and all of a sudden you wind up with a surplus of one thing or another. Sometimes you wind up with a surplus of dollars, you know. That happens in farming. And then there's something waiting, and you can invest those dollars in that, like the milk house. You know, that's a pretty big investment. It was there, but it was really degraded, so we had to put a new floor in, and we had to re-accomplish the walls. I had to tear out. I'll show you. This is kind of my pet project right now. That lean-to on the back of the barn there, where you see that fresh lumber, that is the milk house. So it's a room, and it's going to be insulated, and then we can run heat in there in the winter to keep the equipment warm. Right next to it, under that overhang, is the big door behind the tractor. You can't really see it, but that's where the cows get milked. They get milked kind of in the basement. And we've been here 20 years this May, and I didn't even know that. I didn't know that's where you milked cows until just recently. Yeah. I didn't understand the design of that barn. But it was designed to milk 10 cows. And 10 cows on 80 acres is a standard. It's a proven concept, right? So we don't have 10 cows. We have 5 right now, and I have 2 heifers that are coming on. These guys over here are bulls or steers. We castrate them, and then they go out with the other steers for beef production. I'm gonna sit down here inside. The wind, I think, is probably disruptive. But what I was thinking this morning is, you know, because I heard things, you hear things, right? You know, terrible things, shootings, and cities getting taken over, and you hear all these things, right? So I don't know, I'm not there, but it sets you to thinking, okay, what can I do to maintain a safe environment here I know I got to have food, I got to have water, and the list goes on. It diminishes, but the food and water is real important. But not just for me, but for them, all the animals. Because the way it works here, we have a butcher shop, so these animals wind up going through there, and they come out the other side. The meat goes in the store, the milk goes in the store, the eggs go in the store, and people trade us for dollars, and then we use the dollars to pay for, expansion and fuel and paying for insurance and fixing the car and all that stuff. So the system definitely works. It's just a question of knowing how to do it. And so along this prepping thing, the more I learn about how this works, the more comfortable I am thinking that, well, if the wheels fall off, it'll be okay here. Relatively. I mean, you never know, but I'm padding it so it'll be okay here. And then that feeling and that confidence goes out. I mean, it permeates out from here, and then people want to do business with our store because they know, hey, that'll be there. Where the big stores, if the semis quit running for one reason or another, it's over. They only have about 2 days worth of food on the shelf. It's not like they have some big storeroom in back where they keep food, that's limitless. You get that feeling when you go in those stores because there's so much on the shelves, but that can go away really quick. So one of the principles of this is that you add value to what you have. That's one of the ways to do it. So say a calf like that. Those calves were bull calves, twins, and I was kind of disappointed because I wanted heifers. I wanted girl calves because then we can add them to our milking operation. And I know somebody's going to say something about twins. Sometimes they're not fertile. Okay, all right. But so I wasn't as happy about that as I could have been. But I look at them now, and I'm taking really good care of them because in 2 years, they will be full size. They're going to be big calves. They're going to be big cows. And yeah, they're primarily a milk breed, but it doesn't mean you can't make steaks out of them and hamburger and all that stuff. You can, and it's really good. They do well on grass. All I have to do is feed them grass. And then in the wintertime, hay. So the point is, I'm going to add value to those young animals, and in 2 years, they will give an incredible gain. Incredible gain. So let's say that they're worth, the way they are right now, $500 each, which the market is way up. So if they were sold, you could probably get more. In 2 years, they will be worth far more than that. Like, I'm talking in the close to, let's just say 7,500 for now. Let's just say that. Some people argue that it's higher than that, depending on the value that you add to them. Like when you process them, if you turn the whole thing into hamburger, which the rumor is that, dairy cows, you can't, they're no good for beef. Really? That's such a dumb thing to say. They might not be like prime beef, but they are definitely good. Definitely good, especially if they're raised on just nothing but grass. If you don't give them grain fed is kind of a misnomer. It's a good way to get them fat quick, get their weight up quick, but it's not quality fuel for the top fuel dragster, that we become when we're in this business. You get smarter and healthier, and you have more drive, and the more you feed this top fuel dragster, the more you feed it good food, the better it gets. It doesn't you know, it doesn't degrade and then, oh, well, I got to have some Cialis, you know. No, it doesn't. It's not like that. So anyway, I think the point is, if you look around at what you have and say, how can I add value to that? You know, so if you have only have room for a vegetable garden, well, what can you do to make it better and more productive and more sustainable? That's a good word right there, sustainable. Sometimes it gets thrown around in like lefty circles, and people don't really know what it means, but sustainable means that hands off, it will regenerate itself and get better every year. And there's no reason why it can't. We live in an abundant creation that will get better, and most of the time it's hands off. You just get your hands off of it and it'll get better in time. You know, you look at the trees that are alongside the road, for instance. Nobody takes care of them, and they get bigger and taller and fuller every year, right? You trim them, they come right back, right? So our gardens and our animals can be like that too. Our soils can be like that too. So adding value is one of the key techniques to preparedness. I think preparedness has gone sort of a dark route, like, oh, well, I got to have an arsenal of, you know, high capacity weapons and high velocity and all this stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an anti-gun guy, but I don't think if the wheels fall off that we automatically go to stealing each other's stuff. I don't think so. I think that if the wheels fall off, okay, now we got to pull together. We don't have the store, so what? So somebody comes here and they want to buy some produce or some meat, or they need milk, and they don't have money. Are they going to pull out a gun and shoot me for it? I don't really think so. That's not really human nature. But I could say, would you mind working for a day? And then I can send you home with 4 pounds of hamburger. Yeah, if I got to. Well, yeah, you do. You do have to work for it. Because what dollars are is a note that has the ability to do work. And that's not always going to be there. We've seen currencies crash in the past, and our currency is not as good as it was. I'm not saying it's worthless. And it's beyond my pay grade to change that. I just have to, I live in it, and what happens, happens, right? But the value of a pound of hamburger does not change when it's frying in the pan and you're going to eat it. It doesn't change. Unless, I mean, it does change, I should say. It goes up in value the hungrier you get and the more need you had for that sustenance. See, so we can produce food, we can do that, and that is the design as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you go all the way back to Adam and Eve, and he was in charge of the Garden of Eden, and they were eating. I don't know what they ate, probably, who knows? I don't know. I don't even know if it's a true story, but it's a good story. And so we're sort of like that. And when I start looking around at what is here, I've been doing this for years, but what you look at what's here, well, how can I improve on that? Just that I got this chunk of field and grass is growing out of it, and you think, well, how can I improve on that? Okay, I'm going to cut the grass off of it, I'm going to bale it, and then I'm going to store that for winter feed, and then it grows back. Now, what can I do there? Oh, well, in the later part of the season, that field is kind of dry. I think I'll put a fence up around that and let the cows in there to trim that off. Because what will they do with that grass? They will turn it into beef or milk, and then they will manure back to the field, which increases the field. Their presence out there helps the field. We see this daily where the cows go, all of a sudden you see new growth. And when you think about it, if you took a soil sample there and you looked at it closely, you would see a tremendous amount of seed in that soil. And I suppose you could do some sort of test on it to find out, well, when did this seed make its way into the soil? And seeds are amazing things. They're hermetically sealed. They go into the soil and they just sit there until the opportunity comes up where they can germinate. And that might be when a cow steps on them. The cow steps in the area and they're exposed to a little bit of light and warmth and moisture, and poof, now we've got a plant that grows up that seed might have fallen there 1,000 years ago. And so the environment changes itself, and it seems like it changes in our favor if we look at it the right way. Like if you look at a commercial field, factory farm field, and they plant corn, and everything out there is just corn. There's nothing else. They achieve that by poisoning everything else. And then when you do see something else that comes up, they say, oh, that's bad. But that's the attempt by that field to right itself, because a monoculture is never what you see in nature. So if you don't see it, you take any forest, it's not just one type of tree unless it's been planted by us. And I know there's reasons for it. Yeah, fine. I'm not saying never do it. I'm just saying that the diversity of the creation definitely has more function and is way more forgiving than when you go to using chemicals and heavy metal to take care of the fields. So, but I don't do that, and the guys that do that, that's on them. They bear the responsibility for that. So, but the value adding, you look at what you have, increase it by whatever means that are going to be a sustainable mean, and then let it grow from there. Anyway, that's my thought for today. I just really had a good thought process this morning. It's beautiful out. All my animals are healthy, procreating. We got all the feeding done, all the milking done, and now it's just time to kind of enjoy this place that we've built. All right, remember, anyone can farm.